I hope this works. Okay, cool. So how did you end up becoming involved in education and also end up at NHS?
Okay. So I didn't think that I wanted to be a teacher until I started college. I went into college undecided. My passions were always in the performing arts. And I decided when I got to college that that was something I would pursue as an extracurricular passion and that I would look for a different major. Didn't really know where to go with it. And I went home on winter break and I visited my high school. And I went to a bunch of my English teachers and to my U.S. history teacher and talked to them about how college was, about how their year was going. And I realized as I was talking to them, I really liked being back there. It was an atmosphere that I really enjoyed. And I went back a few other times on breaks, and I realized that the reason I wanted to keep going back there was because these people had made such a difference in my life. So I thought to myself, you're completely comfortable being in front of a group of people. You love performing arts, and you are recognizing that this is a profession that makes a difference. Maybe this is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
I love English. I love to read. I love to write. And so that seemed like the obvious course choice. And so I applied to be an English education major, and the more time I spent in the major, the more I loved it. So so that kind of solidified it. But it was going back to visit my high school that convinced me to be a high school teacher. I observed at Northwestern my junior year, which is a component of being an education major. There's an observation hours component. When I was in school, it was 30 hours. Now apparently it's 10. But I had to do 30 observation hours. And one of my best friends was also an English education major. And she nannies for a family in University Park. So she said, let's go observe at Northwestern. I know how to get there. I have a car. It's easy. Great. So that was my first experience at Northwestern. I observed in a class across the school, and I was really intrigued by how different the community was from where I grew up.
Yeah.
I grew up in, like, the Potomac of Illinois, of the Chicago area. And so it was very predominantly white. I'm Jewish, and it's very predominantly Jewish, so it's like a lot of me everywhere. And this was so different. The girls that were sitting in front of me were speaking Spanish about how one of their babies was doing, and it was a sophomore class. It was just so culturally diverse. There was so much happening that I wanted to know about. And I was really intrigued. So I did my 30 hours there. That ended up being my first classroom for 5 years. And then I was placed for student teaching, and I decided I would come here because I was familiar with it. So I was an undergrad education major, not an MCERT. MCERT came my senior year. So I only did half a year. But I was actually in this building right upstairs. And I...
Gary's in the hallway.
Oh, gosh. And I...
Somebody with a stick. Namely Gary.
Yes.
It's hot. It's really hot.
Thank you.
Do you have a spoon?
Yes.
Okay.
I did my student teaching here, and I grew to love it. I had my frustrations. There were some crazy kids, but I loved it. And at the end of every day, no matter how frustrated I was, I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, and I want to go back.
Yeah.
At that time, there was a woman who worked here who kind of organized the student teaching program, and one of my friends was also teaching here, and she gave the two of us applications. And that kind of solidified, you could stay here. And so I did. I applied, and I was hired, and I've been here ever since. So I've been in the building for 8 years, but I've been teaching here full-time for 6.
Wow.
So, long answer to short question.
No, that's good to know. And if you want to answer anything too, feel free.
Just,
well, no,
Nicole
if I do it.
was like mini-me, so Nicole did her observation hours in my classroom, and now she's student teaching here.
Awesome. Cool.
Same idea.
So, I guess this can be for both of you if you want. how do you describe an ideal classroom based on your experiences teaching?
An ideal classroom?
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
So I've never had one of those.
I don't know if you can ever have an ideal
Yeah.
classroom, but
So I will tell you the qualities that I would like to have in a classroom. I don't think there should be more than 20 students in a class.
yeah.
I agree.
I am operating on an 87-minute class period. I have 42 kids. I can give my kids 2 minutes of individual attention a period if I don't teach anything.
Whoa.
That having been said, I don't think that there should be more than 20 kids in a class. I think between 15 and 20 is a perfect class size. I don't like smaller than 15, you can't do groups.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that students should learn to collaborate in addition to knowing how to work individually. So, fine. That would be one piece.
Yeah.
In my ideal classroom, we would have access to technological resources for learning.
Mm-hmm.
I think every student should have an iPad or a laptop.
Okay.
Everything is digital. Like in the world,
Mhm.
everything is digital. There was just a report on the Today Show this morning about how Samsung and Apple are racing each other to create a smart watch.
A what?
A smartwatch. So you'd have your iPod right here.
It's like something out of a movie.
Like think about Inspector Gadget, and like that's where we're going. That's where we're going. Like
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the helicopter hat. That having been said, if the world is going to technology only, and if everything in the world is going to be digitized,
Mm-hmm.
then the students should be learning using those materials so that they're going into the world ready for that. Our kids are coming from an underprivileged area. They're going to go into the world knowing how things work on paper.
Mm-hmm.
That's not because, I mean, and I like paper. I'm old-fashioned, that's fine.
Yeah.
But they're going to be at a severe disadvantage having nothing to do with what I taught or didn't teach them because they're not going to know how to translate it into something online.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
So those are two things that I would definitely have. I don't like block scheduling. So in my ideal world, we have 45-minute periods that meet every day.
Mm-hmm.
My classes meet every day this year. That's great. I've had years where I've had 247 students because I have 6 classes. They meet every other day, and there are 35 to 45 kids in the class. So 247 kids, that's a lot of worked grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm only seeing you every other day. And so if I'm seeing you on a week where we meet Tuesday, Thursday, and you are absent one day, then I've now seen you once in the entire week. So I would like to see you for, and 87 minutes, you've noticed, you've been in our room. They lose it after half.
Yeah.
So, especially at the end of the day. So if you're actually getting up and moving for 5 minutes after each 45-minute chunk, you're staying engaged. You have time to turn off for 5 minutes and then go to the next thing. You're rebooting 9 times throughout the day, 8
Yeah.
or 9 times. So in my ideal world, classes would be like that.
Awesome.
I can't pick my ideal student because that's not fair.
No.
I've had successes and struggles with every kind of student.
Mm-hmm.
I teach AP literature, and the senioritis and like entitled attitude of my AP kids right now is driving me way more crazy than
Our
the
fourth period.
misbehavior of our 4th period, 9th grade on level class at the end of the day. There's not an ideal class.
Okay.
I think our second period comes pretty darn close.
They do
to
come
it.
pretty
They're
close.
getting a
They
little-
want to learn everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to know more about everything you have to tell them, and they want to do the activities, and they're excited to participate in English.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most unrealistically positive class in
Right.
the world.
It's
So maybe they
fantastic.
would be ideal if I could pick 15 to 20 of them and put them in a 45-minute class session with a lot of iPads. We'd have my ideal class.
So where do you think that that positivity and energy
I think
towards
it comes
learning
from
comes
their background, where education is something that's been valued, and their parents care about how they do
Do you
in
mind
school.
if I
That
do-
No,
might
no,
be
not at all.
exceptional.
So you think like a parental influence
I
is
do.
huge? Okay.
So, and I think that that's really as specific as you can get about it. And I think that because I think that the parental influence can be a positive or negative influence. I think some students really take their parents' disinterest in education and use it as their rebellion. I think some students have it ingrained from them day one, like ingrained in them from day one, that education is incredibly important and you better value the fact that it's free because that's lucky. You see students who are first generation American whose parents are like, this is why I brought you here,
Do well.
like get
Yeah.
it together. And you see parents who are students whose parents are first generation immigrants who are like, I don't know what to do. I got you here, now what? And so you get the opposite behavior from them. You see parents who have been in America for a long time and they have fallen into a comfy routine and so the kids don't care. And you've seen parents who've been here for a long time and they understand the college prep process and that is where we are going.
Yeah.
And that's, so I just think it depends on their circumstances.
Okay.
Parents who appreciate education and who are involved are usually really good. But I can say we have a few exceptions to that rule.
I guess there's exceptions to every rule. I was really interested. I was talking to Bellum about the final presentation. She didn't think her parents would let her go.
We're gonna have to figure that part out.
which
My
was pretty
plan
crazy.
at the end of this period, or like by 4th tomorrow,
Is
is to have a letter in English and Spanish that's going home that says not only is your child in this, and it's a grade, but we want you to come. And if you want to come to school at 4:15 and take your kid over there and wait an hour for the performance to start, you are welcome to do that. So that it's very clear. I mean, we have kids in this class, the class that you're working with, who leave school to go get high and drink. We have kids in this class who are secretly sneaking around with boys and girls. Their parents are like, you can't be alone. Which, thank goodness, they at least figured it out at this point.
Yeah.
Really enough to change something.
So, so that is going to be tricky, but I want to get it out there now. We're a month away. I
Yeah.
want to know 2 weeks in advance if I should be expecting someone not to be there, because then I want your performance videotaped.
Yeah.
And if you can't be there to see it, at least we can play it.
Yeah.
And
And they can still be active participants in the planning process.
and then what we
Yeah.
can do is videotape the performance so that if they want to see it and not feel like they missed out, fine.
Yeah, like Felix wants to videotape his part. I'd rather he did it in front of everybody, but
Right.
He'll
but
probably-
He
I'm
does
telling you now, if you can get him to videotake it, you have
That's-
had a victory.
good.
You
He was
have-
really, really good yesterday, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of Felix's issue is that he doesn't care half the time. The other half of the time, he wants to care.
Felix comes from a broken home.
Yeah,
was
that's
just
what
talking about that.
what I learned. I mean, I knew there had to be something at home or going on otherwise that
Yes.
would,
He
okay.
also has anger management problems.
Like
Yeah.
really big ones.
Like ended
8th grade.
by
a window.
punching out a window in the gym because his girlfriend kissed another boy.
But we haven't seen any of those anger issues in this classroom.
The only way we've ever